All right, good morning, everybody. Joe Van Doren here, and welcome to our Virtues Pick for today. And we have a great word, one that's totally misunderstood, especially by children, but more recently, I would say that it's misunderstood by a lot of adults too. And that word, that virtue that came up today was fairness. So let's read the description first, and then we'll talk a little bit about whatever comes up to my mind as we're reading it. So, fairness is treating each other even-handedly so that each person receives a share. With fairness, we meet everyone's needs. We listen to the views of others with openness and expect to be heard with equal respect. We don't focus on who is right, but on what is right for all concerned. Without bias, favoritism, or prejudice, we level the playing field. We are as protective of the rights of others as we are of our own. We seek not to overpower, but to empower. We are lovers of justice. Now, don't you wish that all of us, and I include myself on this, that we could think of things in a more fair way? And I think this is one of those virtues that we're all kind of still working on. It's not a matter of presenting things that are just equal. In fact, fairness is a tough concept for children, for many children to understand. But I would say that it's also a tough concept for many adults to understand. Uh, and because, well, why? I don't know. Is it because they're selfish? Is it because they're fearful of not getting their quote unquote fair share? So I don't know. The research has shown that um, fairness is many times seen as interchangeable with equal, or exactly the same. And so, but that doesn't really make sense in the world, does it? It doesn't mean that everything's divided equally. When as an adult, we think about fairness, and we know that fairness is reached when everyone gets what they deserve, what's needed, and what's appropriate for their circumstance, for their age, for their situation. So, a simple example that we could use with our kids is, when you sit down at the dinner table, does everybody get the exact same amount? No. What's fair is that everybody gets what they need so that they're not hungry, and they get what is needed uh, in comparison to their weight, their size, and what they desire to have. So, that trying to give everybody the same amount just simply wouldn't be fair. And so fairness requires that we sometimes sacrifice things. It requires that there's great cooperation. It requires that we share resources sometimes with each other, and it certainly downplays the idea of selfishness and greed and thinking that everyone should have exactly the same thing. So when I think about fairness in regard to myself, I'm thinking about, how is it that I'm acting, and how is it that I'm seeing things so that I focus on what is what is right for all concerned, as it puts it in the description here. And that means that I have to be open to other people's views and not just stick on my own ideas without any consideration of others, because that's not fair. It's not fair not to listen to what other people are thinking, or how they're feeling, or the hopes and dreams and the desires that they have. And so many times, I guess, fairness can be put to the side as individuals try um, to gain more power, and they disregard the rights and disregard respecting the rights of others, and and will end up showing favoritism or prejudice in one way or the other. And that's one of those things that can go both ways. Prejudice isn't just a one-way street. It can happen in the opposite direction. And that's why I guess, fairness is one of those virtues that we're all still working so very hard to overcome. We have to be careful that in our desire to be fair, that we don't go too far in the other direction so that we become unfair to other individuals. And that's true not only in the world as we face it today, but also in our families. You know, we in the family we're always trying to discern what is the right thing to do, what is the fair thing to do, what is needed by this person versus that person. And that can be hard sometimes, especially for children. You know, if you have one child that has a particular needs, and maybe they're greater than that of another child, the child that's not receiving the attention as much can sometimes feel, like they're being rejected, I guess is the best way to put that. So, fairness is just such a balancing act. And I think anytime we have to balance things, it really brings up for us, all those questions that we have about what is the right thing to do. And of course, we face those questions with every virtue. So every virtue requires that we balance it with something else. And that's the reason that I believe that it's so important in the practice of the 4 C's of successful families, and really success in any part of our life, is that we clarify very clearly what it is that we believe, and what it looks like, and how we're going to move forward. That clarity helps us to balance things more in a more equitable and in a way that really gives each person what they need, what they deserve, and what the circumstances call for. So, those are my thoughts. I don't know. That all just came out pretty fast. So, I, I don't know. Maybe I'm really thinking more about fairness than I've thought about in the past. But I just think that fairness is just one of those virtues that each one of us is trying to practice in a balanced way. But it is difficult, and it's one of those that I keep working on, so that I'm giving my best and bringing out of others their best at the same time. So, those are my thoughts. Uh, let's all practice some fairness today. Let's think about it. Let's focus on situations that we face and just ask ourselves, what's the fair thing to do here? What is it that this person needs? What is it that this person deserves? What is it that what circumstance have they been in, or are they in, that requires that maybe they need a little bit more, or maybe we need to draw back, and so that we keep things in balance. If you have some thoughts about fairness, I would love to hear them too, because I think this is a really it's a simple word to talk about, and it's one of those words that our kids will throw in our face every time something happens that they don't like. And the way they do it is they say, that's not fair. So we need to clarify what fairness is for ourselves. All right, so how do we teach it? It's again about modeling, but I think we also need to help our children become less selfish and see the bigger picture, the family first, the community next, their classrooms next, so that they can practice fairness in a balanced way. All right, everybody, that's my thoughts, and I thank you very much for being here. And until next time, keep practicing the virtues and the 4 C's of successful families, and that is clarity, communication, consistency, and community. All right, till next time. Bye.